There's a moment in every person's life when you realize the people who raised you don't actually know you at all. For me, that moment came on a cold November evening when my father told me to choose between my wife and my family, as if the woman I'd married wasn't family, as if my daughter didn't deserve grandparents who loved her unconditionally. They gave me an ultimatum: divorce my wife or lose everything. When I chose love over their approval, they made me homeless with a 2-year-old daughter in my arms. They thought it would break me, thought I'd come crawling back, defeated and alone, ready to do whatever they demanded. They were wrong. This is the story of how my family tried to destroy my marriage because my wife is transgender, how they threw us out into the rain, and how the revenge I'd been quietly planning turned their cruelty into the biggest mistake of their lives. My father stood in the doorway, blocking my entrance to the house where I'd grown up. Behind him, warm light spilled from the living room where my mother and older brother Derek waited like a jury that had already delivered its verdict. "Last chance, Marcus," Dad said, his voice stripped of any warmth. "Sign the divorce papers we had drawn up. End this embarrassment, or you and that child are no longer welcome in this house." I shifted my 2-year-old daughter Emma higher on my hip. She was getting heavy, and my arms ached from holding her for the past 20 minutes while my family delivered their ultimatums and accusations. "She's your granddaughter," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Her name is Emma, and I'm not divorcing my wife because you've decided who she isn't acceptable to you." "Your wife is mentally ill," my mother called from inside. "She's a man pretending to be a woman, and you're enabling delusions that will destroy your daughter's childhood." The nightmare had started 3 months earlier when my wife Sarah finally found the courage to live authentically. After years of therapy and soul-searching, she came out as transgender. The person I'd fallen in love with in college, married at 25, and built a life with was still the same person, just finally honest about who she'd always been inside. "I never hesitated in my support. I married you for who you are," I'd told her. "That hasn't changed." But when we told my family, everything exploded. My mother cried like someone had died. My father accused Sarah of tricking me into marriage. Derek called it mental illness and demanded I get Sarah professional help before she destroyed Emma's future. They staged interventions, sent me articles about detransition, called Sarah directly with hateful messages. When I refused to leave her, they escalated, calling my employer, contacting family court about custody rights, telling extended family that Sarah had abandoned us. Living under their roof for 6 weeks while job hunting had been a special kind of torture. "You made your choice," Derek said, appearing beside our father with satisfaction written across his face. My older brother had always resented me, Dad's favorite, the successful attorney, the stable marriage. He'd finally found a way to win. "You chose that freak over your real family, so go be homeless with your kid while you defend someone who's destroying your life for attention." Emma started crying harder, her small body shaking against mine. She didn't understand the words, but she understood the hatred, the anger, the sudden transformation of her grandparents from loving to hostile. "You'll regret this," I said quietly, looking each of them in the eye. "All of you will regret every word you just said." Derek actually laughed. "What are you going to do, Marcus? You're broke. You quit your job to take family leave. You have a toddler, no income, nowhere to live. You're nothing. And when that marriage falls apart, and it will, maybe we'll take you back, but you'll be coming back alone." I turned away from the house, from the closed door, from the family that had just disowned me. The porch light went off, leaving Emma and me standing in the darkness as rain began to fall. I had one duffel bag of belongings and nowhere to go. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I shifted Emma to my other hip and pulled out my phone with shaking hands. The text message was from a number I'd been waiting 3 weeks to hear from. "Approved, funding cleared, $50K advance transferred to your account. Welcome to the team, start Monday. Jennifer Chen, Director of Community Outreach, Rainbow Foundation." I stared at the screen, rain beginning to soak through my jacket. 3 weeks ago, I'd applied for a position with the state's largest LGBTQ advocacy organization. A position with double my previous salary, full benefits, housing assistance, and a mission I believed in. I'd been offered the job yesterday. The $50,000 advance for relocation and stabilization had just cleared. My family thought I was nothing. They had no idea what I'd been building. I spent that rainy night in a hotel, Emma asleep beside me while I drafted the first move in what would become a strategic campaign. By morning, I'd contacted a family law attorney, a colleague from my old firm who specialized in grandparent rights cases. My parents evicted me and my minor child in retaliation for refusing to divorce my spouse, I explained. They've threatened to seek custody, they've tried to interfere with my employment, they've created a hostile environment. Within 48 hours, my attorney filed a cease and desist letter and a restraining order request. The letter detailed every threat, every attempted interference, every instance of them creating an unsafe environment for Emma. It demanded they cease all contact unless through legal counsel. My father called 6 times that day. I didn't answer. I saved every voicemail where he ranted about overreacting and family doesn't sue family and how I was being manipulated. Each voicemail became evidence for the hearing scheduled 2 weeks later. 3 days after moving into our bright 2-bedroom apartment near the Rainbow Foundation offices, I did something my family never expected. I went public. I'd been documenting everything: the rejection, the ultimatums, the eviction. With Sarah's permission, I wrote a detailed account of what it's like to have your family choose prejudice over love, to be made homeless for refusing to divorce your trans spouse, to watch your parents reject their grandchild because they can't accept your wife's identity. I published it on Medium during Transgender Awareness Week. I shared it on social media. Because I'd worked in corporate law and understood PR strategy, I timed it perfectly. The story went viral. Within 48 hours, 50,000 shares, news outlet interviews, advocacy groups amplifying it, strangers sending support. And my family, so certain I was nothing, suddenly found themselves infamous. My mother's church friends saw it, Dad's coworkers saw it, Derek's neighbors saw it. Everyone saw exactly how the Marcus family treated their own son and granddaughter. 2 weeks after the eviction, we went to court. My parents arrived confident with their attorney and character witnesses, prepared statements about their concerns for Emma's welfare. But I had evidence: voicemails where Dad threatened to call CPS claiming Sarah was dangerous, text messages where Mom said I was destroying Emma's chance at a normal life, emails where Derek contacted my employer trying to get me fired, documentation of the eviction, throwing out a father and toddler in the rain without notice. Most damning, testimony from Emma's pediatrician confirming my daughter was healthy, happy, well cared for, and showed no distress except when exposed to my parents' hostility. The judge was unimpressed. Your concerns appear rooted entirely in prejudice against your daughter-in-law's gender identity, she said. Your actions are not those of people concerned for a child's safety. They're the actions of people trying to control and punish. The restraining order was granted. 1 year no contact. Any future contact required court approval. I'm writing this from our apartment where Sarah just put Emma to bed after reading 3 stories. Emma calls Sarah mommy without confusion or hesitation. She's thriving in preschool where teachers respect all kinds of families. She doesn't ask about grandparents who rejected her. My job at the Rainbow Foundation has been the most fulfilling work of my career. I help families like mine navigate discriminatory legal systems. I advocate for policy protecting trans people and their loved ones. I make more money doing meaningful work than I ever did defending corporate interests. Sarah is healthier and happier than I've ever seen her. Living authentically, being legally and medically recognized as herself, raising our daughter in acceptance, it's transformed her. We've built a new family, friends from the foundation, supportive colleagues, Sarah's chosen family, parents from Emma's school who value diversity. Our lives are fuller than when we tried to earn my biological family's approval. They've tried reaching out twice. We were wrong, we miss you, I haven't responded. 6 months after the restraining order, Derek showed up at my office. Security called me before letting him up per the court order. He wasn't prohibited from contact, only our parents were. They want to apologize, he said, standing awkwardly in my office doorway. Mom's been crying for months, Dad's been going to therapy. They realize they were wrong. They want to meet Sarah properly. They want to see Emma. I looked at my brother, the one who'd called my wife names, who'd laughed while I was made homeless, who'd celebrated my family's destruction. Tell them I got their message, I said calmly. Tell them that we were wrong isn't enough when you've thrown your son and granddaughter into the rain, when you've tried to destroy someone's career and marriage, when you've chosen hatred over love. Derek shifted uncomfortably, their family, Marcus. No, I said, family is who shows up, who fights for you, who chooses you when it's hard. They're just people I'm biologically related to. There's a difference. They made me homeless with a toddler because I refused to divorce my wife. They thought it would break me, force me to choose between my family of origin and my chosen family. Instead, it freed me. I learned that people who love you conditionally will always find reasons to withdraw that love. That family isn't about genetics, it's about who shows up, who fights for you, who chooses you even when it's hard. I learned that fighting for the person you love isn't sacrifice, it's privilege. The life my family said was impossible, raising a happy child with a trans spouse, building a meaningful career, finding true community, wasn't just possible, it was beautiful. They threw us away because we didn't fit their narrow definition of acceptable. We built something better without them. Maybe someday I'll be ready for reconciliation, but it will be on my terms with genuine accountability and only if Sarah feels safe. For now, we're thriving, and I've never regretted choosing love over their approval.